Oh, yeah. Is it Saturday already? Is this thing on? I don't know what the hell's going on right now, Chet. For some reason, my streaming technology does not want to work this week. I don't know what it is, but this is two straight times, and I'm not happy about it. But we got some insane Star Wars news to get to today, as Ryan Reynolds, yeah, that's right, the man who plays Deadpool himself, is talking about a rated R Star Wars movie in the name that most Star Wars fans don't want to see around the Star Wars universe. Rian Johnson is talking about making a comeback to the Star Wars universe. Yeah, crazy times we live in, chat. Crazy, crazy times. But we also got to talk about how today is Resurgence Day. And if you don't know what that means, well, that just means that Battlefront 3 should be on its way. And everybody today, every Star Wars fan who is capable will be on Battlefront 2, loading the lobbies and breaking records. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? Yeah, that's right. We made it through yet another week of Star Wars news. And honestly, this was a weird one. It's our first week off of Andor Season 2, so we got no new Star Wars content this week, but it feels like the good old days. These lulls between shows where we were getting just weird news of Ryan Reynolds in a rated R Star Wars movie, Rian Johnson coming back, and the craziest part of it all is there's been this massive push within the Star Wars fandom to get Battlefront 3 to happen. And honestly, it might be working. So, we got a lot to talk about today. Some crazy news left and right and all over the place. I don't know why my streaming software is being the way that it is, but if there's any issues with the stream, just let me know in the chat because I have no idea. My whole back end right now is broken. I can barely even see anything. I don't know what's going on right now, but we'll figure it out as we go. We shall figure it out as we go. I can't even open up the chat. I have the chat here, but I can't open it up, if that makes any sense. But let's say hi to everybody in the chat, shall we? We'll just figure it out as we go here. I think that should be the goal, right? Just figure it out as we go. Another Mike who loves Star Wars. What is up? Charlie, how we doing? Brandon Baker in the house. Jan, what is up? Starship 66 in the building. Kyler, what is up? Adam, how we doing? Ian in the building. Darth Plagueis lives. What is up? Your pal Joe, how we doing? Trent, what is up? Ryan, how we doing? You know the deal. Holly, what is up? It's Holly's birthday today, chat. Can we get some happy birthdays to Holly in the chat? Dom, what is up? Mando United, how we doing? All right. You know the deal. If I missed you, just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Okay, so first things first, let's start with this. Today is Resurgence Day. If you have the ability to play Battlefront 2 on anything, on PC, on Xbox, on PlayStation, do it at some point today. We are going to break the records for most active players on Battlefront in a single day, and that is Resurgence Day. That's what this means. We are trying to get the attention of Lucasfilm. We are trying to get the attention of EA, of anybody who is watching. If anyone can hear us, we're trying to get the attention of the big old companies, because the reality is we want Battlefront 3, and we're not going to stop until we get it. We want new characters. We want to play as Ahsoka Tano, as Din Djarin, as Cassian Andor, and fight in these massive battles on Tatooine, on Naboo, on anywhere, on Ferrix. We just want one thing, and one thing only. And the Star Wars fandom has never been as united as it is today, on May 24th, 2025, as it is, in fact, Resurgence Day. So, that's what's happening today. If you can play Battlefront 2, go figure it out. No one is listening? I hope not. Yes, if Andor taught us anything, it's that no one is listening, but it also taught us that everyone is listening.
Incorrect.
Okay, but we do have some other news to talk about today that is completely not related to Battlefront 2 at all, and that is this tale of two Ryans, Rian Johnson and Ryan Reynolds, both of which not even spelled the same, and both of which are very, very different, especially to Star Wars fans, because Rian Johnson is the man who made The Last Jedi, one of the most divisive Star Wars projects of all time. Personally, it's not my favorite Star Wars movie ever, but a lot of fans really, really enjoyed the movie. So the divide in the Star Wars fandom since 2017, since that movie dropped, has been very great. Obviously, the divide in the Star Wars fandom was there beforehand, but it got a lot bigger with that movie, and now there's talks of Rian Johnson coming back. Now, this is not deja vu. This is not an old live stream. It is May 24th, whatever it is, 24th, 2025. This is not an old live stream. This has just been said before because it was announced that Rian Johnson was supposed to get his own trilogy not that long ago. I guess kind of long ago, probably 5 years ago. Actually, probably even more than that. A long time ago, Rian Johnson was supposed to get his own trilogy. That never panned out because of The Last Jedi in the fans' reaction to it. And a long time has passed, and now Rian Johnson's back. Or at least the news of him coming back to Star Wars is. Now, the other Ryan, the second Ryan, Ryan Reynolds, is talking about doing a rated R Star Wars movie. Now, this is not to be confused with Ryan Gosling, who will be in a Star Wars movie called Star Wars Starfighter, which will come out in May of 2027. A lot of Ryans, chat. Too many Ryans. I can't keep track. So you have Ryan Reynolds, who wants the rated R Star Wars. You have Rian Johnson, who wants to make his new Star Wars after making The Last Jedi. And you have Ryan Gosling, who's going to be in Star Wars, confirmed, in Star Wars Starfighter in May of 2027. So if I confuse these three Ryans at any point through the live stream, just yell at me and go, Mike, you're an idiot. But I'm going to do it because that's just too many Ryans. Too many Ryans. Okay. But first, let's start with the Ryan Reynolds. Okay? Reynolds. Not Gosling. Definitely not Johnson. Ryan Reynolds. So Ryan Reynolds, most known for his role probably as Deadpool, I'd guess. I don't even know. Probably most known for his role as Deadpool. Last year had a box office bomb or I guess bomb is a bad thing now. Box office explosion. How is an explosion a good thing and a bomb a bad thing, Chad? Somebody make that make sense. But box office explosion of over $1 billion with Deadpool and Wolverine. And there's been talks of possibly getting to see Ryan Reynolds coming over to Star Wars. So first things first, tell me in the chat, do you want Ryan Reynolds to be in Star Wars? And if so, what role would he play? Tell me that in the chat, first things first. But let's talk about what he's talking about, because he's not coming to Star Wars. He's not talking about Ryan Reynolds coming to Star Wars. No. He's talking about the fact that he pitched a rated R Star Wars movie to Lucasfilm, to Disney, quite some time ago. So the question now has been talked about online, or being talked about online right now, is should there be a rated R Star Wars movie or show or anything? Should Star Wars go to the rated R side, to the dark side? So let's put up a poll in the chat, first things first, to start this off. Let's put up a poll. And if you haven't smashed a freaking like on the stream, then what are you waiting for? Let's get on that. But let's start up a poll. Should Star Wars, let me rephrase. Should there be a rated R Star Wars movie? Yes or no? So I've always been of the mind that there should never, ever be a rated R Star Wars movie or show or anything like that. Star Wars, as George Lucas always stated it, was for 12, 13-year-old, 14-year-old kids. Pretty much. And that's still what it is today. However, the big argument behind this is that Andor, which just ended last week, is so damn good that fans want more of that darkness. Aw, is our Scream not going to work today because of the... That's super lame. I don't know why the streaming software is being lame today, chat. Oh, the chatbot's not even working either? What's going on? That's super lame. Okay. Guess we got no chatbot or the thing. But $10 hollow from Jordan Reddy, oh my God, says, Do we think the idea of a rated R Star Wars project is just being mooted? Sure. Due to the success of Andor. Well, that's what I was just about to say. Thank you very much. I appreciate the super chat. Yeah, is it because of Andor's success? Because Andor is more for adult Star Wars fans, as people are saying, and it's more adult. Is that why this push for a rated R Star Wars project is happening? And this Ryan Reynolds news is just being sort of the catalyst for that conversation? Probably. Yes, Andor is more, I guess, for adults. I mean, sure. There's very, very sensitive topics being talked about in Andor. I probably, if I had a young child, wouldn't be showing it to them. But again, that sort of 14, 13, 15, whatever you want to call it, that teenager that Star Wars is being made for, that person can still watch Andor. And it's not like too much. It's not like blood and gore and grossness is happening all over the screen. It's not like people are throwing F-bombs and all this crazy stuff. No, that's not what's happening. So I actually think the adult of Andor is almost just fans trying to look for something to make Andor seem different. And Andor's already different enough. There's no lightsabers, there's no Force, there's no really Jedi versus Sith. So it's already very different. And I think the reasoning for people trying to make it look different is because it already looks different. They're like, oh, it's made for adults. No. Mando is eviscerating or literally evaporating. I don't know what, turning to dust. He's Thanosing these Jawas in like the first episode of Mando season 1. It's not made for kids. It's the same thing happening with Chimere cutting off people's heads in the forest in The Acolyte. It's the same thing with, I guess Skeleton Crew is kind of geared more towards kids. But it's the same thing as Darth Maul chopping off people's heads in the Clone Wars. Like, these are kids' shows, but they really aren't. So I think Andor has gotten this adult vibe type thing when all the other shows are doing the exact same thing, and for some reason, people just don't see it. I don't know what it is, but the conversation of rated R being brought up is mostly because of this Ryan Reynolds stuff, so let's dive into it. First things first, though, we do have a couple super chats that I want to get to first. So hang on. This is truly where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
Okay. Ron with a very generous $5 holla says, I agree. No rated R Star Wars. Okay. I see a lot of no's in the chat. Whoa, but the poll says a completely different story. 55% of you in the poll say yes to rated R Star Wars. Interesting. George with a very generous Greg, English chat. Greg with a very generous $5 holla says, Bail Organa to Mon Mothma. Tear the shit out of that place. True. But that's not the first time that shit has been said in Star Wars either. It was actually said in Andor season 1 too. But is that really the first time? Maybe it is. Maybe you're right. Still no F-bombs, you know? I don't think that R is very necessary, but there should be stories for adults to enjoy. Again, I almost disagree with that even. Like, when you look at the Star Wars landscape, people look at Clone Wars and Rebels and The Bad Batch and they go, animation, that's for kids. It's an animated show, that's for children. I don't know about you, but Darth Maul's chopping people's heads off and Kanan Jarrus' death, I wouldn't want to show that to a child. Maybe that's just me. But Tech's death, Kanan's death, like these horribly serious, sad events, I probably wouldn't be showing to a kid. And especially Darth Maul killing Satine and slicing people's heads off. And I get that animation is usually, I don't know why I quotated? I don't know why I put quotations around animation, but I don't know why the animation side of Star Wars is supposed to be geared more towards kids in the real world, I guess. But it's just not. And I think the same can be said about the live action shows too. Like I said, Din Djarin is absolutely murdering people left and right in the first season of The Mandalorian. Like, plain and simple, just straight up murder. And that, for some reason, because there's a nice little baby Grogu by his side, has been pushed towards the kid audiences, I guess. I will agree with you that shows like Skeleton Crew, shows like Resistance, I guess. I mean, yeah, more of those types of shows are more geared towards kids. Absolutely. But the reality is, Andor is an adult show as much as The Mandalorian is, as much as The Acolyte is, as much as Ahsoka is. And I think this conversation, it's almost been lost somewhere along the way that Andor is made for kids. Is made for adults, and everything else is made for kids. Everything, as the great Luthen once said. But let's talk about what Ryan Reynolds had to say. And yeah, let's not forget that Leia got turned into a sex slave for a giant slug. True, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's what happened. I don't know. You can't really sugarcoat that. Okay, but let's get to this. So Ryan Reynolds pitched a rated R Star Wars movie to Disney, but not for him to star in. So when I asked you earlier if you think that Ryan Reynolds should be in Star Wars, well, I wasn't really saying that he's coming to Star Wars. It's more just a question of, do you want Ryan Reynolds in Star Wars? I don't know. I think it'd be cool. Maybe have him be like a bounty hunter or something. I don't know. It'd be cool to see Ryan Reynolds. He's a big star. A-list actors, getting them in Star Wars is pretty cool. You don't have to have him be a main character, but maybe just some sort of cameo appearance would be kind of cool. But he was not pitching this rated R Star Wars movie for him. No. He was just pitching a rated R Star Wars movie in general. But let's talk about it. I'm shocked by this poll, by the way. Oh, and I got a super chat. Hang on. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. Says rated R Star Wars. Yes. Of course you would say that, Darth Plagueis. Of course you of all people would say that. And then said Rian Johnson back. No. Happy Resurgence Day. Happy Resurgence Day back to you. Yeah, we will be streaming Battlefront 2 later on the Eggs gaming channel, probably at 6 p.m. So watch out for that. But yes, rated R Star Wars. Yes. The only project, or two projects, I guess, the only two projects I could see that could ever possibly go rated R would be a Vader show, or not Darth Plagueis, but I guess Darth Plagueis would be involved. A Palpatine show, a young Palpatine, because Palpatine's origin story is very dark, and you could easily snap it into a rated R setting like that. Like, just right away, he murders his whole family. But again, you could do that in a non-rated R way, and it would work just as well. Just like Andor. Andor does some dark stuff, but does it in a non-rated R way, and it works. I don't know. Let's keep reading the article. Now that I've been so rudely interrupted. Yeah. Like you guys want me to stop reading or something. Throwing money at me. Just kidding. I appreciate it. Super Chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. Let's zoom in on this. This is way too small. That's much better. Ryan Reynolds successfully delivered Disney its first rated R MCU movie last year with Deadpool and Wolverine. But could he do the same for the Star Wars universe? The Deadpool star revealed on Friday's episode of the Box Office podcast with host Scott Mendelson, I wonder if he's related to Ben Mendelsohn, that he pitched a rated R Star Wars movie set in the galaxy far, far away. As he had to say this. I pitched to Disney, I said, why don't we do a rated R Star Wars property? It doesn't have to be overt A+ characters. He probably means like main characters. There's a wide range of characters you could use, he said. I don't mean rated R to be vulgar. Rated R as a Trojan horse for emotion. I always wondered why studios don't want to just gamble on something like that. Interesting. So that's his pitch for the rated R Star Wars here. Is not to be vulgar, not to be like just that, just for rated R purposes, but to be a Trojan horse for emotion. Interesting. Talking about taking gambles. We've talked about this in the past, but Star Wars, especially with the recent projects that have been released, have been taking risks. And by that I mean Andor. Andor, The Acolyte, we're all over the place in terms of Star Wars content. Because nothing is really defined as Star Wars when you look at it from afar. As long as it takes place in the galaxy far, far away and sticks to the laws of Star Wars and the lore, it's Star Wars. So the way that Andor is this very ground-leveled spy thriller type thing, while The Acolyte is a very Jedi, Sith-centered lightsaber battle, force-wielding, lore-building, whatever. And then you have The Mandalorian, which is a bounty hunting mission with also some Jedi and some lightsabers and some lore, but it's mostly just Mandalorians and bounty hunting, and it's all very different. They have very different sides of the Star Wars universe, and they're branching out into very different sides. There's room for all in the Star Wars universe right now, with all different types of genres and different types of shows. So the argument would be, why can't they go to rated R? If they can go to all different sides of the genres of movie making and TV show making, why not go rated R? It's a good argument to be had. I still don't think we should do it. I don't think Star Wars should go rated R ever. But at the same time, it's a pretty good argument. My thing is, the only thing that would make it go rated R would have to be some sort of Sith project. Like I said, a young Palpatine or a Vader show. But we already see them be so evil without it having to be rated R. In the Kenobi series, he's walking down the alleyway just snapping people's necks, just going, doop, and then you're hearing all these crackings of necks and people getting choked to death, and there's clearly a ton of death in Star Wars. So what would push it over the edge to make it rated R? Would you do an outright comedy Star Wars show? No. I mean, unless it was like a Legends thing, then maybe. But no, I would not make a sitcom in Star Wars. No. I would not do that. It's the tone he's talking about. Yes, he's talking about like a rated R type of tone, but you can do that without it being rated R. Like Vader snapping people's necks. Like Vader killing people all over the place. Anakin Skywalker murders younglings in Revenge of the Sith. Granted, they cut away from it. How could barbecued Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru not be rated R? Isn't A New Hope PG? Isn't Star Wars A New Hope parental guidance? Not even PG-13. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's PG. Somebody in the chat help me out. Because you're absolutely right. Not only does Obi-Wan die, but Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen are burnt alive. Or I guess maybe burnt dead, I don't know. The Jawas are burnt. Like they're all killed. Now, granted, the rating system for movies and shows has changed over the last 40 years. It is PG. That's crazy. That is crazy. But the first PG-13 Star Wars movie was Revenge of the Sith. And somebody fact check me on this, but I think every Disney Star Wars movie has been PG-13. So you're telling me that what happens in The Force Awakens is worse than what happens in A New Hope? I don't think so. In the fact that Revenge of the Sith is PG-13, when you see him slaughter younglings, you see him burn alive, and by him I mean Anakin, of course, him burn alive, like it's some pretty dark stuff. You can see Count Dooku's head get chopped off right on screen. And that's only PG-13? PG-13 didn't even exist in 1977. Really? I did not know that. When was PG-13 invented? Was rated R a thing in 1977? Jaws goes hard compared to Star Wars. Is Jaws rated PG? That should be rated like whatever's worse than R. Like, that's horrible. Yeah. Revenge of the Sith was the first ever PG-13 Star Wars. Yes. PG-13 was invented in 1985 after the Temple of Doom. Interesting. Interesting. So that begs the question, would those Star Wars original trilogy movies have been PG-13 if they came out just a decade later? Super chat? Oh, wait, sorry. My chat's being stupid today, so you guys gotta, like, if I miss a super chat, let me know. Oh, yeah. Darth Raccoon with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that. Says Star Wars Horror Project. I mean, yeah, that would have to be the rated R thing. It would have to be some sort of horror or scary or whatever. But Vader, Palpatine, like, that's scary, you know? Scary to me. Lifeless bodies on the floor, don't ask. What? Hell yeah. Where can I sign up? A Balatik impression? I'll get on that. But lifeless bodies on the floor, like, that's already a thing in Star Wars. We've already seen that. Like, that's not that scary, you know? We've seen some pretty horrible stuff. We've seen stormtrooper heads on pikes in The Mandalorian. Like, the more I think about it, Mandalorian's pretty dark. Like, all that stuff is pretty horrible. Yeah. And a Balatik impression? He's got, like, the Han Solo Kanji Club. Yeah, he's got the Kanji Club. Kanji Club. The credit. I'll get back to it. I want to get to this Ryan Reynolds thing first. Okay? I'll get back to this the thing later. There has never been a rated R Star Wars movie or TV show before. The closest thing the franchise ever had would be its more mature and/or TV series that just finished its 2-episode run earlier this month and dealt with some heavy themes. Although I agree with that, Andor, of course, does deal with very, very heavy stuff. We, of course, talked about with the Bix stuff in the first 3 episodes of the second season. Bix gets tortured in season 1. It's some pretty heavy stuff. But, like I mentioned before, there is just as bad things happening across the Star Wars universe. Anakin Skywalker burning alive on Mustafar is pretty dark. Really dark. Even Vader snapping people's necks is extremely dark. So to say that Andor is really the most mature thing, I don't even think it is. I don't even think it's, maybe it's top 3. I don't know. But as for rated R, his pitch, Ryan Reynolds says that it would not be for him to star in. So here's what he has to go on to say. I'm not saying that I want to be in it. That would be a bad fit, he said. I want to produce and write or be a part of it behind the scenes. Huh. Okay. So for those of you who didn't want Ryan Reynolds to come over to Star Wars to star in Star Wars, what about if he came over to write and produce on a movie? Would you be down for that? Those kind of IP English really really well with scarcity and surprise. We don't get scarcity really within Star Wars because of Disney Plus. But you can certainly still surprise people. True. Up next for the Star Wars universe is the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, which takes Pedro Pascal's masked bounty hunter with the beloved baby Grogu. How are we still, like, how are we still 6 years since Grogu's been revealed and we don't even know how to say his name? Baby Grogu, because Baby Yoda's a completely different character in Star Wars. To the big screen. After that, Sean Levy, who directed Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool and Wolverine and The Atom Project and Free Guy, is making a Star Wars starfighter film starring Ryan Gosling. Not to be confused with Reynolds. Yeah. Okay. And I guess that's it. So he doesn't want to star in it, but he would produce or write on it, and he wants to make a rated R Star Wars project. So, still interestingly enough to me, the poll right now in the chat says 62% of you say yes to a Star Wars rated R movie. Maybe I'm way out the loop here, chat. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's happening, but I think no. If I were to vote on this poll, I would have said no. And granted, 38% of you still said no. But to those 62% of you who did say yes, what would that be about? What would that movie be? How much darker can you go than burning Anakin alive? Than chopping people's heads off? Than talking about stuff like with Bix being tortured, or the second thing that happened with Bix. You can't say the word online, it's a whole thing. But the second thing that happened with Bix. How much more dark can you go? Jump scares, like actual horror film stuff? No, thank you. I don't want Vader jumping out at me going, ooga, booga, booga, booga. I don't want that. No, I'm not, no, thank you. No. But for those of you, 63% now, who said yes on that poll, please tell me, what would you make a rated R Star Wars movie about? What do we think? I love democracy. Yeah. So pitching meant that the script is already done, or is it just a proposal phase? No, there's no script. There is no script or idea even. I think he's just pitching the idea. And I think this was a while ago that he even pitched it. Yeah. If we believe there's room in Star Wars for kiddie material, then there must be room for more adult material. You make a great argument. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's a great argument. There's definitely a lot of kiddie stuff. Like you got the Young Jedi Adventures stuff. You got some very, very kid-centered stuff. The majority of Star Wars projects are geared towards this, I guess, anywhere from 10 years old to 90 years old. Actually, let's not put a limit because Lego puts a 99 plus, or whatever age, it's like 5 to 99. And then once you turn 100, you can't play with Legos anymore. So let's not put a limit. It's 10 up, 10 and forever. Okay? God. Legos. But I will say, when you put a limit on what people can watch, because when you make a kid's show like Young Jedi Adventures, an adult who has a child can watch that with their kid. If you have a rated R Star Wars movie or Star Wars show, well, then you're limiting your audience physically, because anybody under the age of 18 or 21 or whatever it is can't watch it. Physically can't watch it. So that's a little too limiting for the Star Wars universe, I think. But hey, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. For those of you who have read the Plagueis novel, there's an arc where Plagueis stows away on a freighter and ends up killing the entire crew. True. That would be awesome in R-rated. Still, I think you can get away with that without being rated R. Think about Chimere in the forest in The Acolyte. He murders like 13 Jedi or something like that. Whatever it was. 9, 10, 11, whatever. 10 Jedi in the forest, whatever it is. Chopping some of their heads off. Snapping Yord's neck on screen. Stabbing Jecki through the chest 3 times. How much more dark and gruesome can we get here? Now you're just asking for blood to be gushing everywhere, but then that changes Star Wars, because that's not how Star Wars has always been. Guys get their arms chopped off, and like Luke gets his hand chopped off, and there's no blood spurting from his arm. Now, I guess the explanation to that is that the lightsaber cauterizes the wound or whatever when he slices through, but there's, I guess, an explanation for it. But even still, it would change the whole dynamic of the Star Wars universe if you got blood going all over the place. Give me a 1 into the chat if you saw the finale of Daredevil Born Again. Give me a 1 into the chat if you watched Daredevil Born Again on Disney+. That finale was very, 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 very bloody, gruesome. It was good. It was definitely good. That's what Daredevil's been since the beginning, has been very bloody and gross and whatever. But that was a very, 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 very bloody and gross finale. That, to me, would seem so out of place in the Star Wars universe. Well, maybe that's just me. Maybe that's just me. The only thing that could be added that's not already in Star Wars is blood and nudity. And I don't want either of those. That's the quote of the day from John Groom right there. Quote of the day, the only thing that could be added with a rated R Star Wars project would be blood and nudity, and I don't want either of those. Could not agree with you more. There's blood in Star Wars, comes in very little doses, but there is blood in Star Wars. But yeah, I mean, I don't think we're not asking for that. You know, we're not asking for that. No. Yeah. For those of you who have never watched a rated R project, don't. Well, I mean, most horror movies are rated R. There's some good ones out there, you know? I was shocked that scene made it on Disney at all, to be honest. Which scene? The Chimera in the Forest one? Well, there's a lot of scenes from that one episode that are very dark. You know? Very dark. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Deadpool, Daredevil, sorry. Daredevil finale. Yeah. I mean, Disney does have rated R projects on there, like Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. Well, this was a surprise to be sure. I did not think that this poll was going to be this way. 67% of you saying, yes, you do want a Star Wars rated R project. So Game of Thrones. Well, Game of Thrones is really good. I will give you that much. But we don't need Game of Thrones in Star Wars. We can have the Game of Thrones type of storytelling with a bunch of different families. Like the Old Republic would be great if you had like a bunch of different Sith factions led by all different leaders of the Sith, and then some Jedi factions too. And then it's just sort of like a Game of Thrones type deal. Maybe it's Mandalore is like a family, and the Sith are their family. You know, family, using it very loosely. But that would be kind of cool. But even without, like, we don't need a sex scene or a nudity scene in Star Wars. It would just feel so out of place and so unnecessary. We've alluded to it. Bix and Tim in season 1 of Andor. You, of course, know that Padme and Anakin made 2 children, and Han and Leia, well, they, you know, and don't even get me started on Dedra and Cyril turning off the lights. But you don't have to show that, especially in Star Wars. You really don't have to show that. Yeah. Star Wars is a rated R story in general. And if it took itself a bit more seriously, it would be a flopping franchise right now. Well, I think what Star Wars does very well is because a lot of the stuff is very serious. A lot of the messages and lessons in the actual content is very serious and real world-esque, like the stuff from Andor. That stuff is sort of hidden behind the fun action adventure of Star Wars. It's still fun. It's still upbeat. It's still got some humor to it. Your Han Solos, your K2SOs, your funny little characters to make a nice little comment to lighten the mood. Because yes, Anakin Skywalker was born a slave. That's some dark stuff. But still, you got Jar Jar Binks. You got the upbeat and happiness of the Star Wars universe to combat the very dark tones and lessons that are in Star Wars, because it is. There's a lot of very, very serious things going on there. I mean, the Clone Wars itself focuses multiple episodes on just the topic of slavery in Star Wars, which is crazy. That's a very serious thing to talk about. But it does it in a more lighthearted, still learn the lesson of this is bad, this is really bad, but still in more of a Anakin Skywalker will make a nice comment and then slice off the bad guy's head who is holding the slaves or whatever. It just feels a little strange to me to go out of the way to add just that extra little bit of oomph of maybe nudity or a sex scene or blood and gore or whatever it is to make it rated R, or an F-bomb for no reason at all in Star Wars, for just to be rated R, to just put the title on it, because it's not necessary. You already have really dark things going on in Star Wars. It just doesn't have to be rated R. But that's just me. Maybe that's just me. You tell me in the chat. That's just me. Yeah. Maybe they want a Deadpool style of humor. Well, that's just too much. Even for Star Wars, that's just too much. Star Wars has had this since day one, since A New Hope, with Han Solo specifically, but it's had this dry humor. And maybe it's because of Harrison Ford and George Lucas, they have that dry humor, but it's really had this like chuckle, you know? There's no laugh out loud scenes where they're like dying laughing, like, oh my God. No. It's sort of like a, geez, that, hang on. Ugh. It's more of like a, ha, that's kind of funny. Not really a laugh out loud type deal. So, and it's been consistent. I mean, you have that humor with K2SO and Andor. You have that humor with IG-11. It's usually the droids that bring in the humor with like C-3PO and BB-8 or R2-D2. So it's usually a droid, but you still have that humor all over the place. And Anakin even has that same sort of dry humor. But to me, to take that extra step to just make it rated R, just to force it for no reason, seems a little weird. It just seems out of place for the Star Wars franchise in general. So that's my take on the rated R-ness of possibly making a rated R Star Wars project. The only place I could see it would be a young Palpatine show just to show that he kills his family. But even that you can do and have it not be rated R. You can even still give a very dark story because we've seen it before with Revenge of the Sith, with the Kenobi series, with the Acolyte. Very, very dark stuff with Andor. Very, very dark stuff. And it still not be rated R. And it still have that sort of Star Wars-y feel of maybe a couple dry humor jokes every once in a while. I don't know how you do that with the Palpatine show, but we'll figure it out. Ironic. But that's my take on it. I don't think it's necessary. I really don't think it's necessary at all. And I think it's probably a bad move. A bad move. However, if Ryan Reynolds is open to coming into the Star Wars universe to either write, produce, or even star in something, I'm fully down for that. I am fully down for that. But you guys tell me in the chat. Don't forget about Chopper. That's true. Could never forget about Chopper. Actually, I did, so I guess I did forget about Chopper. Anthony says, hey, Mike. A rated R Star Wars movie would be unique and interesting, but it's not essential to the Star Wars universe. It would run counter to what George Lucas's concept of what Star Wars is. That's true, too. So a lot of people always say, this doesn't feel like what George Lucas created, or this isn't. There's always those George Lucas stans. A lot of people are, because he's the guy who created this whole damn thing that we love so much. So when Disney makes a project that feels different from the original trilogy, feels not like what George Lucas created, it gets a lot of crap. So if a rated R Star Wars project was to happen and it wasn't like a 10 out of 10 perfect, incredible project, people would shit on it like crazy. Like crazy. Yeah. Exactly. We don't need F-bombs in Star Wars. Yeah. Yeah. I agree. You can just get around it. Like, you don't need to do any of that stuff, you know? Okay. But we do have a lot of news to get to today, so we just spent 40 plus minutes on that. So we got to keep on moving, chat. All right. Let's get to the Rian Johnson of it all. So that was Ryan Reynolds, our first Ryan of the day. Let's get to Ryan number 2. Let's get to Ryan number 2. Now, before you click away, before you're like, oh my God, Rian Johnson, no. Hear me out.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I want Rian Johnson working on Star Wars again. It's just not true. However, let's just take a look at what he has to say. Okay? Let's just take a look. Why is this so far away? Why are these websites so small? Zoom in. There we go. Poker Faces, Rian Johnson. Oh, he makes Poker Face? I didn't even know that. My parents watch Poker Face. They were like, Mike, you should watch Poker Face. I was like, what's Poker Face? I didn't know Rian Johnson made it. Okay. Poker Faces, Rian Johnson says, if I make another Star Wars, I'd be the happiest person. Let's take a look. This is Rian Johnson, if you don't know who he is, the creator, director of The Last Jedi. A divisive Star Wars project, to say the least. Why is the eye like that? Chat? Why is the eye that way? Should we pull this up in the chat? Do you guys want Rian Johnson back in Star Wars? Should we pull it up? Should we pull it up? Rian Johnson gets an unfair bad rap. Okay, before we even read this article, let me put up a poll in the chat, okay? First things first, 63% of you on that poll did say you do want a rated R project, which is crazy. But let's put up this poll. Do you want Rian Johnson to direct a new Star Wars movie? Yes or no? Now, somebody mentioned in the chat that he gets a bad rap. It's valid because of what happened with The Last Jedi. When you look at Rian Johnson's catalog outside of Star Wars, it's incredible. If you watch Knives Out or what was the sequel to that? Something about an onion or something? Slicing an onion. Frying over an onion. Put some onion in that sandwich. What was it called? Onions taste like... Ogres like onions? Ogres are like onions. They have layers. What was it called, Chad? The sequel to Knives Out. It was like onions taste real good or something about ogres. Shrek 2? No. Shrek Forever After? No. Chad? Chad? Glass Onion. Yes, thank you. Glass Onion. Okay. Glass Onion. I was close. So when you look at the outside of Star Wars catalog, discography, if you will, for him, it is really good. I mean, he makes a good movie. He's a good storyteller. He's a good director. It was just The Last Jedi in what he created there. The problem was he came to Star Wars, or he came to Lucasfilm to make a Star Wars project. He did not want to make the next Star Wars movie in the trilogy. He wanted to do a whole new story with all new characters, which maybe could have worked. But instead, he took fan favorite characters like Luke Skywalker and took the introduction of all these different characters from The Force Awakens and turned it into, well, what not a lot of people really liked. Turned Luke into an old hermit and you know, well, the rest is history. So yes, when you look at Rian Johnson's career as a whole, it's really, really good. When you look at his Star Wars career, well, fans hate him. So the question, it's actually pretty valid. Do you want him back on Star Wars? He's not going to be working with Luke Skywalker anymore. He'll be working with a brand new cast of characters. So would that still work? Would he be able to tell a great story in Star Wars like he's been telling great stories elsewhere? Well, let's read the article. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to aspire to create characters that last, says Rian Johnson. A genial American filmmaker is it genial? Sure. Who may well have created a couple of his own. He's talking here about Charlie Cal. I have no idea who that is. Okay. Natasha Leo's. This is not English yet. Lie detector. Okay, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have no idea what Poker Face is. I've never seen a single second of it. So none of these words and names are making any sense to me. So I'm just going to skip to the good stuff. Okay. He also, of course, made Knives Out and its sequels, Ogres Like Onions, or indeed some of the other totemic characters Rian Johnson has temporarily stewarded down the years. Breaking Bad, Walter White. What? I didn't know Rian Johnson worked on Breaking Bad. Is this true, chat? Hang on. I got to look this up. Rian Johnson, Breaking Bad? Is this true? Rian Johnson directed 3 highly acclaimed... Oh, my God. Chat. If you've seen Breaking Bad, then you know that this episode right here might be the greatest episode, or it probably is the greatest episode of television ever. It is the only episode on IMDb that has a 10 out of 10. The only one. Of all TV shows to have ever existed, there's only one episode with a 10 out of 10 on IMDb. And it's the one that Rian Johnson directed. Oh God, it's like a walking contradiction. It's crazy. You look at his discography everywhere else but Star Wars, and you're like, this guy's a freaking god. He's so good. And then you look at Star Wars, and you're like, what happened? But I will say, I kind of want him back now. Did he take Luke Skywalker and make him an old hermit? Yes. Did he just kill Snoke off without giving him an explanation? Yes. But did he direct one of the greatest episodes of all time? Yes. Did he make Shrek 4? Yes. And he currently is making the best TV series on this year right now, or one of the best, I guess, Poker Face, which I've never seen. But and Luke Skywalker in the Last Jedi, among the rogues gallery of Johnson's. Oh, this is not English, chat. I don't know who Charlie Cale is, but I'm guessing he's in that other show. Let's skip to the Star Wars of it all, because I don't even know what Poker Face is, and it's all that they're talking about in this article, seemingly. Star Wars, looking for Star Wars. Nothing but, oh, here we go. Yeah, okay. No way. Did he make Looper too? I'm looking up Rian Johnson. Hang on. We got to look up Rian Johnson's discography for 1 second. Rian Johnson movies. Actually, movies and shows. Right? Let's see. Rian Johnson, movies and shows. Let's see. That's known for. I'm looking for all. Actually. So he made Looper, Glass Onion, Knives Out, Star Wars, Poker Face. I don't know what Brick is or this is. The Brother Bloom. Okay, well, that's not everything. Can we find like a everything type deal? He did Breaking Bad, we know that. Okay, well, that wasn't helpful at all. Oh, we got a super chat? Hang on, chat. We got a super chat. Oh my God. Jordan with a very generous $10 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, give him a mustache, glasses, and a wig, and change his name to Rian Johnson. And give him a go at a show. By the way, the Brothers Bloom is excellent. Okay, maybe I'll have to check it out. But yeah, I think the issue that Star Wars fans are going to have with the possibility of ever seeing Rian Johnson come back to the Star Wars universe is just the name Rian Johnson, because of what happened with The Last Jedi. So I don't think that him coming back to Star Wars would be the worst thing ever. But to Star Wars fans, it is. It's like the sky is falling. This is the end. This is horrible. No.
I got a bad feeling about this.
But when you look at everything else that he's done in his career, it's spectacular. So to get a guy of that caliber, to get a guy with that background of filmmaking in Star Wars, making a new project, not anything to do with legendary characters or anything like that, a brand new project with a whole new cast of characters. To get that guy to Star Wars, put a mustache on him, give him a new name of Rian Johnson, whatever it takes. Just give him something. Pretty interesting. Okay, but let's keep reading. It was at this point that Disney arrived, poaching Rian Johnson to direct the second of the trilogy in the Star Wars sequels. The resulting film, Star Wars The Last Jedi, was rapturously received by critics, that's very true, but proved a lightning rod for toxic fan discourse. Love that word. Just kidding, I really hate this word. But with vocal corners of the Star Wars fan base taking issue with Rian Johnson's take on the Star Wars mythology. That's very true, because of Luke Skywalker becoming a jaded and hermit on Arc 2. Not a lot of fans really liked that. not that much. But that, I think, The Last Jedi, correct me if I'm wrong, it's still a very high Rotten Tomato score. Let's check it out. The Last Jedi. Oh my God, 91 on Rotten Tomatoes still. So critically acclaimed, to say the least. The Last Jedi still is 91. Holy crap! That's like one of the highest rated Star Wars projects ever. I'm sure. I can't think of any others that are above it other than Clone Wars, Andor. I don't even know if The Mandalorian is. I don't know. Well, that's pretty high. That's crazy. Critically acclaimed. But, where was I? Oh, yeah. So, obviously, there was a lot of backlash from The Last Jedi and the reception of Luke Skywalker's character. But, he goes on to say, I've always wanted to make it clear. It's not like I've gone through a living hell or anything like that, Rian Johnson said chipperly. I've had that kind of experience that you only dream of as a filmmaker. I was in my 20s when the prequels came out, and George Lucas directed the prequel trilogy beginning in 1977 with The Phantom Menace, and was in many quarters revealed, chat English, by many fans of the franchise. The prequels have had a revitalization? Is that a word? Sure. We're using it anyway. It's had this revival over the last couple of years, or I guess last 10 years, where Star Wars fans have really, I wouldn't say come around to the prequel trilogy, but I think a lot of the fans that grew up on the prequel trilogy are now older now. So those fans are like, yeah, this is really good, like myself. And other fans are like, yeah, I agree. What's the fan score? Okay, let's check out the fan score for The Last Jedi. Oh my God. A 91 from critics and a 41 from audiences. Yeah, okay. But, as I was saying, the prequel trilogy has had this huge backing over the last 10 years of the fans who it was made for. So maybe, just maybe, in 10 years from now, we'll be sitting here talking about the sequel trilogy like we sit here and talk about the prequels. I don't know. To me, I always liked The Force Awakens. I thought it was a great start. I think the next two movies is where it falls off. But we just finished talking about how Andor made Rogue One so much better and made the original trilogy so much better, giving us brand new characters like Luthen and Cassian and all these other people who are incredible. And now you have that background knowledge when you watch the original trilogy of what happened before, how the Yavin 4 base got there, how the rebellion came to be. So is it possible that some projects that come out within the next 10 years in this Mandoverse time period help the sequels to get even that much better, like the Clone Wars did for the prequel trilogy? So it's possible that this is a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show that comes out eventually, or a Ben Solo Fall to the Dark Side show, or a somehow Palpatine Return show, whatever it may be, to help make that sequel trilogy even better. And then maybe, who knows, in 10, 20 years, we're talking about the sequel trilogy on the same level as the prequels. I feel like you guys will all unsubscribe if I say it, but maybe even on the same level as the original trilogy. I didn't say it! I didn't say it! End the stream! End the stream! But seriously, there's a possibility, there's really a high likelihood that with Dave Filoni at the new position that he has, and of course Jon Favreau sticking around Star Wars, that they could be able to create a world where they explain Luke Skywalker's fall a lot better than it is now. Maybe even giving him Mara Jade in that relationship, maybe even giving him a child like Cassian got, or whatever it may be, him having to sacrifice everything to go to Ahch-To, to save the rest of the galaxy, because maybe his blood would be taken to create a whole Force-sensitive army of Luke Skywalkers. Whatever it may be. There could be a better explanation. There should be, and there will be a better explanation for why Luke goes into hiding. better explanation as to how Palpatine returns. I mean, that's already happening with the Bad Batch Season 3, Project Necromancer being mentioned in The Mandalorian, books like Shadow of the Empire, like Shadow of the Sith. There's already stuff in the works right now that is helping the sequel trilogy. Right now in 2025, I like the sequel trilogy far more than I did 6 years ago. And that's just because the Mandoverse, just because the Bad Batch, and the book Shadow of the Sith. Now, I think that will continue to happen as we get more and more projects, as we get a Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, and we get the explanation of how Palpatine returned, the explanation and actually seeing how the First Order comes to power. The same way that we got to see the Rebellion come to power in Andor, we could get a show where we see the First Order come to power. So almost the reverse with General Hux and Snoke and Kylo Ren. Like, that would be really, really cool. So there's ways to go around it. There's ways to make it better. I don't know why I started this whole tangent, but it makes sense in my own head. What made me say this? Hang on, let's go back here. Oh, we were talking about the prequels, how they're more beloved now. A lot of why the prequels are more beloved now, though, is because of the Clone Wars. There are so many people that love the Clone Wars so much, and that adds an insane amount of the storytelling to Anakin, Obi-Wan, Padme, everybody. It even adds new characters like Rex, like Ahsoka, that weren't involved in the prequel trilogy. So yes, there's always opportunity for stuff like that. However, we're talking about Rian Johnson, and having him come back is a very different story than making the sequels better with other content. Because the name Rian Johnson in the Star Wars fandom immediately gets fans to go, ugh. It literally makes a ugh noise online. When you type in Rian Johnson, you just hear the Star Wars fans go, ugh. Something like that. But I can already tell on this live stream later on when we get comments in the comment section, I'm going to get a bunch that are like, Rian Johnson back in Star Wars? No! Absolutely not. Are you kidding me? No. No. That's just bound to happen because of the name Rian Johnson. But let's keep reading. I mean, you talk about war between the Star Wars fans. We experience our own. That's the prequels. That was World War I, and The Last Jedi is World War II. That's actually a great way of putting it. Honestly, the prequel trilogy is like World War I in the Star Wars universe, and the sequel trilogy is World War II. The problem that so many fans have with the prequels is the same problem that so many fans have with the sequels. It's the reality that it's not the same. Actually, it's almost the opposite for the sequels. It's too much of the same. So people complained about the prequel trilogy because it was so different from the originals, like so vastly different. George Lucas wanted to make something very different, and fans didn't like that. They just wanted more of what they've already seen. Then the sequels come around and give you more of what you've already seen, and people didn't like that at all. They hated it. So it's really ironic, yeah. But yeah, I feel like I've had such a wonderful, lovely, positive experience with the fans during the course of it. True. It left me a bigger Star Wars fan than I ever was, which is really something because I grew up with that as the bedrock of my childhood. After the whiplash of The Last Jedi, Rian Johnson started working on what he hoped would be a surefire crowd pleaser, Knives Out. The film was an ensemble piece starring a glut of famous faces. Okay. Ana de Armas, sure. Chris Evans, Christopher Plumer, Tony. Why do people have last names? Like, why can't they just be one name that I can easily pronounce? Like, what's up with the last names? Among them, the undisputed standout, though, was Craig's character. Daniel Craig, I think, right? Yeah, Daniel Craig. Daniel Craig's character. All right, well, let's get to how this relates to Star Wars, please. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, the possibility of a future seems to disappear on the horizon. Oh, wait, that's for, never mind. Okay, before we disconnect, I can't help but ask about another of Rian Johnson's perspective projects, his own trilogy of the Star Wars films. This was announced 6 weeks before The Last Jedi was released. Oh my God. So this was way longer ago than I thought. So this is all the way back in 2017. 6 months before the release of The Last Jedi, it's announced that Rian Johnson will be getting his own trilogy. Now that changed pretty quickly when, well, The Last Jedi didn't do too well with the Star Wars fans. So it got put on the back burner and Rian Johnson went on to do other projects, so that no longer was the case. He wasn't getting his trilogy anymore. And I see, yeah, I like The Last Jedi. I absolutely get that. So many people in the chat, I'm sure, do like The Last Jedi quite a bit. I got nothing against that. It's not my favorite movie, but it's not something that I'd be like, if it's on TV and it's on my TV, I wouldn't turn it off. I'd watch it. I can sit through The Last Jedi and enjoy my time doing so. But there's a lot of people who, can't do that. 6 months before The Last Jedi was released, he got announced to get his own trilogy. So my question to you, chat, is do you think he should still get this? Do you think Rian Johnson should still have a trilogy in Star Wars? Yes or no? Shame that Mike doesn't know who Christopher Plummer is. Maybe I got to look it up. I don't know people by their names. Christopher Plumer? Plume. Oh, this guy. See, yeah, I know him by his face. I don't know him by his name. Oh, yeah, the guy from Shrek 4. I make myself laugh sometimes. Okay, even though the joke just isn't even that funny. But what are you going to do? I see a lot of no's in the chat. Oh, what is the poll at right now? Wow, the poll's, whoa, this poll is way closer than I thought. 55% of you say no, you don't want Rian Johnson to get his own movie, but 45% of you say yes. Interesting. I'd buy a ticket to a Rian Johnson trilogy. Well, what I think, some could say that Rian Johnson is critically acclaimed. Yes, some could say that. What I think is Rian Johnson's name, just to a regular person who's not a gigantic Star Wars fan like us, it's a good one. It's a happy name. It's a name that brings people joy because he has this great film history and show history. But to a Star Wars fan, it's like telling them their dog died. Like, you hear Rian Johnson and then they're like, no! I mean, depending on if you like The Last Jedi or not, because some people really, really do. So it would be very, very difficult to announce a Rian Johnson Star Wars movie or show without getting just insane backlash online. It would almost be that you have to give him some sort of alias or give him some sort of, like, just something to just surprise fans. Like, give them the movie first and show them how good it is first, and then tell us that it's by Rian Johnson. You know? Like, if it's so beloved by the Star Wars fandom, then like a few weeks later be like, oh yeah, you know that movie that you really, really liked? That was by Rian Johnson. And then watch their heads explode and be like, what? Ryan? Not Gosling? Not Reynolds? Johnson? Yeah, that would be crazy. Or yeah, just do the Men in Black thing. Just make them forget about Rian Johnson as a name. There you go. There you go. No, we just need to forget the name. I mean, I agree. Why not? Just forget the name. Just forget it ever happened, and then we'll just be okay. Because I do think that if you give Rian Johnson his own Star Wars project somewhere else in the Star Wars timeline with a brand new cast of characters, give him an Old Republic movie or show. I think he could do something pretty great. It's just when you give him Luke Skywalker and he wants to do something so bold with the character, like make him an old hermit, doesn't really work. If you hide who made it, then that's not the move, bro. I know, I was kind of half joking with that, but there's no way you can make a movie and announce a movie without having a creative behind it. You know, there's pretty much no way. Yeah. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $5 holla says Rian Johnson is a very good writer. I think that would be Disney's best bet for having him involved. Just as a writer, you mean? Not as a director? Yeah, I mean, I just think having his name anywhere near a project is going to be met with so much hate online. Like the same way that we're talking about today, how today is Resurgence Day. Happy Resurgence Day, everybody. Today is Resurgence Day for Battlefront 2. The Star Wars fandom has come together and decided that May 24th, today, 2025, is Resurgence Day. Everybody who has Battlefront 2 and can play Battlefront 2 is going to be on Battlefront 2 today. I'll be on in a couple hours, and we'll all be playing together. The way that the Star Wars fandom can come together like that can also be done in a more negative light. And it's usually in a more negative light to get the Acolyte Season 2 canceled or to crap on people online. Like it's usually done in more of a bad light, especially when it comes to Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi. So many people just crap on that guy. And if he was to get announced a new movie in Star Wars, there would be nonstop hate online. No matter how good the movie was, people would not be able to wrap their heads around the fact that it's by Rian Johnson and it's good. So it would never get the appeal that it should, and it never would get the chance from the audience that it should. And it would bomb immediately. It would come into it like the Acolyte did with the 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. It would probably be worse. It would be like a 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah. Honey Badger, what's up? Says Happy Resurgence Day. What's up? Hello there. Just dropped a like and a vote. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Yeah. Hate unites fans. It is something to easily back, I think. Well, hate sells. Sadly, hate sells. Sadly. Team up of the decade? What is the team up of the decade? What's the team up of the decade? Imagine if all Star Wars fans were that small. Well, the problem is people, well, yeah, that is the reality sometimes, is some people just can't wrap their heads around stuff like that. But the problem is negativity sells. And with the internet, the way that it works, people can hide behind a screen. So you can really say whatever you want, some horrible things with a fake username, and just not really care about it. Not really care who's on the receiving end of that. So all the time, I see people in the Discord or people in comment sections being absolutely crapped on for their opinion. They like The Last Jedi, or they like The Acolyte, or they like anything Disney Star Wars, and the person who comes in is like, no, Disney Star Wars stinks, and you can't like anything Disney Star Wars, or else you don't know Star Wars. You're not a true Star Wars fan. The craziest part to me, specifically about Star Wars in general, because I'm, of course, the host of a Star Wars channel, so I'm sort of in on the ground floor of the whole Star Wars community. So I don't see it in other communities. I don't know if Harry Potter is the same way. I don't know if the Lord of the Rings is the same way. I don't know if the MCU is the same way. I don't know. But what I do know is Star Wars in the Star Wars fandom. And what I know is that Star Wars is built off of this one thing called hope. It's all about these messages of be kind to one another and have hope for the future, and all these teaches you good versus evil and all this stuff. But for some people, just some people, I think it is a very small amount of people, really. I think all these negative people who are crapping on people online don't have anything better to do with their day. I really think it's a very small group of people. But for some of those people, all those messages of hope and happiness and light versus dark and all that just goes woo right over their head, just sailing right over the head. But what I really like to see online is the fact that because Star Wars is teaching these lessons, because Star Wars is all about hope and happiness and being kind to one another and good versus evil, you see the good persevere. There's a reason that Star Wars still now, 48 years later, is still making new shows, still making peak content like Andor Season 2, which we just came off the backs of last week. There's reasons that this is still happening. And the reason is because there's a shit ton of fans who love it. And I really, really think that the majority of Star Wars fans are very open-minded people who take those lessons from Star Wars that George Lucas and Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy and Jon Favreau and all these different creatives have been teaching us through the years and put it into our everyday lives. And the people who are hating on everybody online and saying that if you like this and you hate that and you're not a true Star Wars fan, if you like this and you like that, blah, blah, true Star Wars, whatever. Those people are really just a very, very small group of people that just like to crap on everything. Honestly, I got to the point probably 2 years ago, or give or take, when sort of the channel started to get a little bit more traction, where I was like, okay, I'm starting to get some of these hate messages. I can take it one of two ways. I can take it to heart and be like, wow, these people really hate me personally, and I could just take it as like, oh my God, I must be the worst. This is horrible. Oh my God, maybe I'm an idiot. Or I can look at it like, I feel sorry for these people, because I look at life, and okay, we're getting completely off topic, but I look at life in this light. You get to spend about, what's the average age in the world? I don't know what it is in the world. I think in the United States it's like 75 or something, whatever it is. You get to spend 75 years on this planet. 75 May 20 seconds. That's it. If you're lucky, because who knows what else could happen. You get hit by a bus tomorrow. So you can choose to live one of two ways. One, you can choose to wake up and be all grumpy and sad and be mad at everybody and crap on people and yell at people and be mad all the time. Or you can be happy. You can lift other people up. You can make other people's day. You can say nice things. You can have fun. And I feel like it's not that difficult of a decision to make, to be like, I'd rather be happy than sad. I'd rather be upbeat than depressed. I'd rather be a good person than a bad person. So I really think, getting back to the whole origin of this whole thing, that the people who are crapping on people online, the people who are just crapping on Star Wars specifically, because that's what I see, I can't attest to anything else, but Star Wars specifically, they really just are doing it for just whatever reason that makes them so satisfied by making people angry. It's a weird life they live, but that's how they like to do it. So whatever, to each their own. But I completely ignore it. I suggest you all completely ignore it. But if Rian Johnson, let's bring it all back together here. If Rian Johnson were to come back to Star Wars, it would be met with so much hate online, it would be insane. And anybody, granted, except for maybe the people who love Star Wars, because I think, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, correct me if I'm wrong. But I think we've created a community around here with you guys specifically that have allowed us to be vocal about our opinions. If you like The Last Jedi, if you hate The Last Jedi, you can say that in the chat, and neither opinion will get you crapped on. Neither opinion will have people angry at you. Neither opinion will have people going, you're an idiot. You're not a true Star Wars fan. So the fact of the matter is, 40% of you say yes, you'd want Rian Johnson back in Star Wars. To that, I actually probably agree. The guy's a great director, great writer. Just because he had one miss, to me, with Star Wars, why not give him another chance? He's a great writer and director. Because you gave him Luke Skywalker, that's a completely different story. So 40% of you people say that, and 60% say no. And probably because of The Last Jedi. Hang on. I missed some super chats here while I went on my crazy rant. Sorry about that. If that didn't make any sense, that's usually why I'm here. Another Mike who loves Star Wars with a very generous $2 holla says, Mike, what platform are you going to play Battlefront 2 on, and can we join you? Yes, you can join me, and I will be playing on Xbox. So if you're on Xbox, Battlefront 2, we will be starting playing at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we'll be streaming it over on the Eggs Gaming channel too, so watch out for that. But yes, Xbox, you can join us, or if you can't join us because you don't have an Xbox, because Battlefront 2 is not cross-platformed, and that's why we're trying to get Battlefront 3 made, so we can get a cross-platform Star Wars game so we can all play together. If you don't have Xbox, you can just tune in and watch and play by yourself. Okay. Actually, go join the Discord. If you're not in the Discord yet, there's a link in the description below to a Discord called The People Who Love Star Wars. It's completely free, and there's over 300 awesome Star Wars fans in there. The people who love Star Wars are great, but there's also people in there who play on PlayStation and play on PC. So there's people who are playing all across the board. Yeah. Your pal Joe with the very generous $2 haul says, Mike, you nailed it. Everyone has their own opinions. Indeed, they do. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $10 haul says, I actually think the opposite. Viewership of this would be a lot higher because people would hate watch it and even give it a chance. In fact, 45% in here would actually watch it, which is telling you whether you enjoyed The Last Jedi or not. I agree that it would get a lot of hate watches. Anything Rian Johnson would make would get a lot of hate watches. I think the same thing sort of happened with The Acolyte. The Acolyte came into its premiere with a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes. To a lot of people that would say, I'm definitely not watching this. This show's probably trash. But the viewership numbers for the premiere of The Acolyte were really high, almost the same as Ahsoka, which is crazy. That's because I think a lot of people were like, I gotta see this, whether it's good or bad. To me, it was good, but yeah. Charlie says, Mike, when you get hate messages, that means you're kind of a big deal. No. No. Yeah. She Loves Fantasy says, this is why I love this channel. Well, that's why I love this community. Absolutely. Because we can, vocalize our own opinions. Let me give you a little bit of a People Who Love Star Wars history. The reason I created this channel in the first place was for this goal. Did I think I was going to accomplish this goal? No. Actually, I did, but I'm crazy. Did I think I'd get to this point where there would be 70 plus of you right now watching me on a live stream talk about Rian Johnson, Ryan Reynolds, and Ryan Gosling? No, absolutely not. Do you think I'd be sitting here on May 24th, Resurgence Day of 2025, talking Star Wars with a bunch of awesome people? No. However, I did set out with the goal to make a Star Wars community where people could have their own opinions and not get absolutely shit on. I don't know, but I think we've done a pretty good job so far. We're still in the early workings of this. We still are. Contrary to popular belief, we still are very, very early on in the days of the People Who Love Star Wars. But we have created this, and thanks to you guys, fully you guys, because you guys could have come in here and been like, Mike, you're an idiot. Guess what? You're a dummy, and your opinions suck, and your face is stupid, and I hate you. But you didn't. So it's all you guys who've made this incredible community of people with very open minds, because I feel like a lot of people in the Star Wars community have open minds, but they just didn't have a place to go. So my goal with creating this People Who Love Star Wars with a guy who loves Star Wars, with this community in general, was to create a place where fans could have their own opinions and not be judged for them. Because I love The Acolyte. I know a lot of you probably don't. That's perfectly okay. I'm not the biggest fan of The Last Jedi. I know a lot of you have told me before that it's your favorite Star Wars movie ever. Guess what? That's fantastic. Some people think that Andor is Andor. Some people think it's the greatest Star Wars project of all time. That's awesome. My favorite show is Ahsoka. And well, we've talked about that before. But it's very, very simple and very, very easy to just be happy, kind, and on the light side in the Star Wars community. And I think the goal eventually is to have the people who love Star Wars just so large that all these people who are screaming louder than everybody else, all these negative people who are just saying, if you like Disney Star Wars, you're not a true Star Wars fan. If you like this, you're that. Those people will just be drowned out by the noise of the people who love Star Wars. And it will be a more happy and safe and secure empire.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I love democracy. No, sorry. I just went all dark side on you guys. Sorry. I apologize. Okay. Where was I? She loves fantasy with a very generous $10 holla. Says, just for that amazing rant. Wow, I appreciate that quite a bit. Sometimes I go on these rants and I'm like, if I watch this back later, am I going to look like a complete idiot? And most times I'm like, yeah. And then sometimes I'm like, I kind of made some sense there, you know? Kind of. I hated the acolyte, but yeah, exactly. You don't hate on other people for loving it. That's the perfect example right there. If I hate The Last Jedi, which I don't, I can watch it. But if I hated it and somebody loved it, what does it do me for telling that person that they're stupid for not liking it? Or for liking it, sorry. Literally nothing. Literally nothing. Rob, what's up?
Hello there.
Okay. The Empire, you say? Okay, well, I was playing Battlefront 2 last night, and I didn't stream it. We will be streaming Battlefront 2 tonight on the Eggs Gaming channel, but I didn't stream it last night, and I may have been screaming, for the Empire, or long live the Empire, because I was playing as the Empire quite a bit last night. I don't know what it was. They just kept putting me on the Empire side, and I was digging it because the Death Trooper in that game is so good. So I was just sort of, cooking with the Death Trooper, and I was just screaming, for the long live the Empire. And whoever's above me upstairs was probably like, what the hell's going on down there? Starting my own empire down there. Well, the Republic. Hopefully we'll play as the Republic today, but we'll see. We'll see. Oh, let me get this going here for a sec. Let me get this going here for a second, just so that we don't miss this. So, if you are not yet subscribed to the Eggs Gaming channel, this is where we're going to be streaming Battlefront 2 later on today. So if you don't want to miss out on that, boom, go subscribe to that channel so you can either come play with us if you have an Xbox or just come watch it, We'll figure that out later. But I know your pal Joe's going to hop on with us, and we'll have some other people on there too, so we'll figure it out. I'm just glad to be a part of the people who love Star Wars. Well, that's great to hear. That just made my day. Yeah. There you go. The issue is that you can be civil, and some will act like you aren't. Then all of a sudden, you're the bad guy for just having an opinion, and then they start dogpiling on you. True, and to that I say, just go away. Just step back from the conversation. Like, if it's a comment section and people are crapping on you for your opinion, just leave. Like, you don't have to sit there and listen to it all, Most of the time, whenever I see a negative comment, I just scroll past it. And then if I see a positive one, I, answer it. Yeah, now? Yeah, now? I appreciate that, Damien. I appreciate that quite a bit. Okay, let's keep it going, though. Let's keep it going. We just got so ridiculously sidetracked. That was insane. That might have been the most sidetracked we've ever gotten on a live stream. I just went back to the article that we were at, and highlighted here is announced 6 weeks before The Last Jedi was released, was Rian Johnson's trilogy. Whatever we were just talking about was nowhere close to that. So we've been going on this rant for quite some time. Quite some time. Holy crap. Oh, what the hell? Jordan, what? What is that? Jordan with the 5 gifted memberships? Holy crap. 5 gifted memberships. Jordan, that's insanely generous. And those 5 gifted memberships go to Greg. Love to see it. Donald, love to see it. DJB side, and Superfly. Oh, wait, and Steel Resistance? Resilience, does that say? I can't even see it. Steel. Let's welcome all of the people. Greg, Donald, DJ, Superfly, and Steel. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. I appreciate that quite a bit, Jordan Rennie. And huge shout out to those new members. Oh, speaking of members, we got a giveaway coming up this week, or I guess next week. Next week, because we have a giveaway at the end of every month. So if you're not yet a member, think about it, figure it out, move some money around. It's only 99 cents. But we just keep getting some cooler and cooler giveaways. Last month, I should say, we gave away a Death Trooper helmet, which is so cool from Art Sabers. It's awesome. We gave that away. This month, we're giving away a very similar thing, but I think it's even cooler. And if any of you marked it on your calendars, this Friday or next Friday, this coming Friday, May 30th, is my birthday. So, yeah. Yeah. I don't know if we'll be streaming on Friday because we don't stream on Fridays, but, we'll just celebrate it either early on Thursday or late on Saturday. Either way, we'll figure it out. But we'll definitely have to celebrate the only way we know how as the people who love Star Wars, because there's nobody else I'd really want to celebrate with. Right, chat? Right? Okay. Well, let's get back to this article. So, Rian Johnson's trilogy was announced 6 weeks before The Last Jedi was released. However, didn't really happen because of The Last Jedi. But what happened? Knives Out, he replies. He got busy. That's pretty much it. I mean, I kind of went down a murder mystery rabbit hole. I'm focused on making other stuff, but that wouldn't rule out it happening down the line. If I get to go back to the Star Wars universe someday, I'd be the happiest person. I don't know if Rian Johnson is much of a poker player, but it seems like it seems to me as if he means it. Sorry. English. So, obviously he got busy. That trilogy never happened. But the likelihood of it still happening, well, it could. And if he ever does get to come back to the Star Wars universe someday, he'd be the happiest person. It'd be pretty cool. It would be wild if they were waiting for the Old Republic to do it. I don't know how people will react, because you'd have a very contradicting announcement. It'd be like, we're doing the Old Republic. And everybody would be like, yeah! And it's being directed by Rian Johnson. Oh. Like, that's exactly how it would be. People would go crazy, and then they wouldn't know what to think. And that would honestly be kind of interesting to watch. Pretty funny, actually, too. Because I'd be down for it. I'd be down for Rian Johnson to come do an Old Republic thing. And I'd, of course, want an Old Republic project. So I'd be all for it. But the Star Wars fans who really don't like Rian Johnson, it would be interesting to see how they do it, Yeah. All right, chat. I hesitate to ask this, but I'm going to anyway. First of all, before I even ask the question, let's be nice about it, okay? I don't want to hear any mean guesses, okay? How old do you think I'm turning on Friday? Chat? How old? You know what's really annoying to me? That this stream today did not want to go the way it wanted to. Like, we got no stream bot over there. We got a bunch of super chats. So we don't hear the every time a super chat comes in. It's really frustrating. And after the stream, I'm going to start punching my computer. Okay? I'm going to just start punching. Yeah. 24. Okay, that's not bad. 29. Okay, getting a little. 35? 35! 66? 27. Okay. 37? 22. Thank you. 23. I'm honored. 25. 23. 30. Pretty sure you said you were 22 at one point. 24. 69. God. Do I look that old, chat? 40? Let's put up a poll in the chat here, chat. Let's put up a poll. Droopy, ban everybody that said anything older than 25. All right, let's let's put up a poll. How old do you think I'm turning on Friday? That's not how you spell Friday. Friday. What the hell? Why is this Friday? All right, here are your 4 options, Chad. You ready? 18. 21. No, we'll go 23. 20. Oh, shit. What happened? Are we still live, chat? Are we still live? Chat? Okay. I have to retype that whole thing. How old do you think I am turning on Friday? That's not how you spell Friday. Friday. Oh, my God. Doesn't want me to make this poll. 18. 23. 26. Or at least 30. I'm watching you, chat. For over 900 years as Mike streamed, it feels like that. It really does. It's crazy too because this channel's turning 5 years old by the end of this year, which is just insane. But we've only streamed for 2.5 years, something like that. So it feels like I've been streaming for forever. We've been here streaming for so long, and some of you have just arrived here. You've just become people who love Star Wars. We've been here for a while, but it feels like we've been doing it forever. It's crazy. Yeah. Can you see who ticked which box? No, sadly I can't. Sadly I cannot, but yes, you guys are right. I am turning 23 on Friday. Contrary to beliefs of me being 35, 40 years old. 23. Yeah. 26 final answer. The 26, I mean, I guess I could pass for 26. Okay. Okay. The fact that there's 18% of you that said 30 plus. Are you kidding me? I thought you said you weren't born when Revenge of the Sith came out. No, I was born. I was just only 3 years old. Yeah. I thought you said 24 a long, long time ago. No. I'm changing the topic. New topic. We're going back to Star Wars. I don't like this game. I don't like this game. Breaking news. Breaking news. Andor sequel movie was just announced. A sequel to Andor Season 2 was just announced by Lucasfilm. This is crazy. Are you guys going to go see this in theaters? In a rogue move that has everyone excited, Lucasfilm has announced the sequel to Andor. Oh, we got a super chat. Hang on. Jordan Reddy with an insanely generous $23 holla. I appreciate that. It says, happy 23rd on Friday. Drinks on me. Well, Jordan, I appreciate that, although I don't drink, but I appreciate it. Okay. So, yes, they announced a sequel to Andor Season 2, which is pretty cool. But this is the coolest thing of all. Today is Resurgence Day, okay? Which means we are all going to get on Battlefront 2 and break all the records for most active players on Battlefront 2, a game that's been dead for over 5 years. And by dead, I don't mean like nobody's playing it, because people have been playing it, but dead as in they stopped updating the game for over 5 years. The game is over 8 years old, or almost 8 years old, and this is insane. So the question is, will this work? Will Star Wars fans really get Battlefront 3 to happen? Can we gang together as a community and make this happen? Well, actually, yeah. Thanks, Jordan. I forgot about that. Can I get some good cups full orders in the chat, please? Well, here's the latest in terms of rumors behind the scenes. Rumor has it, Battlefront 2 developers want to get the band back together for Battlefront 3. If this is true, if this happens, then what the Star Wars fandom has done, what the Star Wars fandom can accomplish, it's incredible. It would really be a huge win for the Star Wars community if we truly came together and got Battlefront 2 or Battlefront 3, to happen. And if this is true, because I've been playing Battlefront 2 lately, obviously I haven't played it in a while, but it still holds up. Like, the graphics are still great. They're not like the top of the top, but they're still great. Just the gameplay itself is fantastic. The maps are enormous and intricate. The characters themselves, it's so good. The game itself is fantastic, but it needs crossplay. It needs updated graphics. It needs more characters. And that's why Battlefront 3 needs to happen. So if this is true and they get the developers who worked on and created Battlefront 2 to come back and get the band back together for Battlefront 3, this would be incredible. This would be exactly what Star Wars fans wanted, and even more. Because you get all the new characters, you get the cross-platforming, and you get all that stuff with the greatness that still already exists in Battlefront 2. Because, let's be honest, Battlefront 3 could be made and it sucks. Like, it could be horrible. But if it's the same people who made Battlefront 2, that's exactly what you want. That's exactly what we need for Battlefront 2. Battlefront 3, sorry. Is Battlefront better than Jedi Fallen Order? Well, that's a very difficult conversation to have. I mean, they're two very, very different games. To me, I love a multiplayer game. I love being able to play with my friends and with the community here. So multiplayer games are so much better to me. But story-wise, Jedi Fallen Order is an incredible story. Yeah. Indeed. Yeah, it is interesting because so many people are like, why now? Why is this Battlefront 3 thing happening now? And why is it so large right now? Because usually there's always people talking about Battlefront 3. They should have made Battlefront 3. Sometimes people have been like, let's get back on Battlefront 2. And they try to set this specific date where they're like, we're all getting back on Battlefront 2. But it never has gotten to the level of what it is today. Resurgence Day. It's never been this huge. It's never got to the point where we've broken the record for most all-time active players on Battlefront at the same time. That's never happened. So what made it so big? And I mean, you could talk about how May the 4th was just a couple days ago, or weeks ago. You could talk about how Andor Season 2 just ended. You could talk about how Tales of the Underworld just happened. Star Wars Celebration just happened. There's a Fortnite Star Wars season going on right now. There's a lot that could go into it. But what I've sort of narrowed it down to is one thing, and that is that the whole theme of Andor and building a rebellion in Rogue One is that rebellions are built on hope. Like I mentioned earlier, this whole theme of hope in the Star Wars universe. And this is perfect. It's the Star Wars fandom coming together behind this hope, behind this belief that we can get this to happen. That together our numbers, like a rebellion, can defeat the evil empire. We're not defeating Lucasfilm or anything like that. We're just trying to get Lucasfilm and EA to make this game. We're using using our power for a more positive thing to happen. And I really think it's just that, the messaging from Star Wars, the messaging from Rogue One and Andor Season 2, that is what led to this, craziness, what led to Resurgency Day, what led to May 24th being embedded in the Star Wars lore forever. May 24th, 2025 will always be the day of Resurgency Day, especially if they make Battlefront 3. Because if they make Battlefront 3 and we win as Star Wars fans, we got that to happen because we ganged together to make this happen, then May 24th, 2025 will go down as a historic landmark up in the names of May the 4th. Like, that's how big it will be. Yeah. So hopefully this is true, and the Battlefront 2 developers will get the band back together for Battlefront 3. That would be insane, but only time will tell. Only time will tell. Yeah. I did miss a super chat, so let me get to that really quickly. Oh my God, Jordan with a very generous $5 holo says, a new sequel to Rogue One has been announced, and Disney hopes that fans will love it. Yeah, Rogue 2. Rogue 2. I heard that this farm boy will be involved. I think they casted him recently too. Yeah. I saw that too. Yeah. Now, the problem with this, though, this whole surge of everything, is that Battlefront 3, it won't happen for a while. This is sort of what this article is about. We're not going to read this whole article, but it says, don't expect Battlefront 3 anytime soon, or even ever, but despite this recent surge in players, because it takes a really long time to create a video game. Like a really long time. So the likelihood of them actually making the game is probably a lot higher now because of this, but it's still not going to happen very quickly. It takes a long time to make a video game. Yeah. Resurgencies are built on hope. I appreciate that, Jordan. I really, really do. Anthony says, here's the question, Mike. Will Battlefront 3 release before Star Wars Eclipse? That'll be sad if the game releases before that game that had a trailer over 5 years ago. I would hope it releases before Star Wars Eclipse, honestly, because it's a multiplayer game. We've gotten some great Star Wars games. Star Wars Outlaws, although not many people played it and it got a lot of crap when it first launched, it's really good. It's an open world Star Wars game. It's fantastic. But it's not multiplayer. Neither is Jedi Survivor. Neither is Jedi Fallen Order. Neither is any of those other games that they've made, the small mini games, whatever, that they've made over the years. They're not multiplayer. The last multiplayer Star Wars game, or real multiplayer game, that Star Wars game that they made, was Battlefront 2, 8 years ago. So I really hope that they make Battlefront 3 first, because I don't think Star Wars Eclipse is going to be a multiplayer game either. So I hope they make Battlefront 3 first. Yeah. Outlaws was glitchy, but an astounding game. Oh, 100%. I think Outlaws got a lot of crap because of Kay Vess. She was the playable character. And people wanted the customizable character. I get that. In open world Star Wars game, you want to customize your character? Sure. But nobody had that same reaction to Cal Kestis. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I like Kay Vess better as a character than Cal Kestis, because I don't. But to put that same, or to not put that same amount of pressure or, I guess, hatred onto Cal Kestis that you do on Kay Vess, it's a bad look, honestly, for anybody who is doing so. Yeah. But I've heard Outlaws, I haven't played it in a while since it sort of launched, but since we played through it on the channel, but I've heard that Outlaws has gotten some big updates and even new DLCs with the Hondo one and the Lando one that have made it even better, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. I just don't get why they don't like money. Like Battlefront 3 is a gold mine. You look at stuff, games, word I was looking for, like Marvel Rivals, like Fortnite. Obviously, Disney and Fortnite have had this big collab over the last couple of months, but There is so much money to be made in a multiplayer Star Wars game. Like millions upon millions upon millions of dollars. And Battlefront 3 will do that. In today's Resurgence Day, and we will be proving to those people that it can happen. So, if you've not yet played Battlefront 2 today, hop on at some point tonight if you can. And if you can't, well then join us on the stream on the Eggs Gaming channel. I'll send that link one more time here. So if you have not subscribed to the Eggs Gaming, go subscribe over there. We'll be live probably around 6 p.m., I think, Eastern Standard Time. Hopefully my streaming service won't be stupid and not work. But we'll figure it out. So until then, smash a freaking like on the stream. Yes, I am turning 23 on Friday. Smash a freaking like on the stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe and hit that bell so you're notified every time I post a video. And my pretty face will show up in the recommended feed of yours. We did just hit 162,000 subscribers. We're about to hit 163, I should say, very, very soon. So watch out for that. We are on our way to 170 and 200, of course. Yeah. It really is the greatest time to be a Star Wars fan. I just recently rewatched episode 10 and the start of episode 11 of Andor Season 2, and it's so good. We've just been eating so well as Star Wars fans over the last 5 years. It's insane. It really is. It's crazy. Well, with that, I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. The big two Ryans, Rated R Star Wars, Rian Johnson coming back. We'll see. We'll see. I think if Rian Johnson comes back, it'll be met with quite the backlash from the Star Wars community. And a Rated R Star Wars project would as well. I don't want the Rated R Star Wars project, but I'd be okay with Rian Johnson coming back. Depends on the project. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your evening. Oh, could I set up the gambling on the Eggs Gaming channel? That's a great point, Rob. I'm going to see about that. Maybe if you want to gamble, chat, then come on by the Eggs Gaming channel and we'll set up the gambling in that chat. Huh. We'll see if I can do that. We'll see if I can do it. Yeah. Huge shoutouts to... Oh, I can't even do... Oh, I can. Okay. Huge shoutouts to... Nope, that's not what I meant. Nope, that's not it either. Aha, there it is. Jordan Rennie for the very generous super chats and membership gifted. She Loves Fantasy, your pal Joe, Darth Plagueis Lives, Darth Raccoonar, Greg. I appreciate all those super chats and memberships so much more than you'll ever know. We've been eating like Perrin. Oh my God. Yes, we have been. And yes, watch out for that live stream over there, and we'll see if we can get some gambling up there too. Get you guys gambling on the Eggs Gaming channel. But I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. Smash a freaking like on this stream. How many likes do we have? That's not too bad. That's not too bad, but smash a freaking like if you haven't already. And may the force be with you. Always. Oh yeah, what a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. I appreciate you all so much more than you will ever know. Go by the Eggs Gaming channel and tune into us playing Battlefront 2 later. I really hope the streaming service works. I don't know why it's been so stupid over this stream and last stream. I don't know what's the deal. I don't know what it is. Stream's already over. Yeah, we've been going for 2 hours. We've been going for 2 hours. What do you mean it's already over? My vocal cords run out. I don't know what you want from me. I can't speak forever. But I appreciate you all so much more than you'll ever know. Yeah. Hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.